You're listening to African Man Speak. 5 questions, real voices, honest perspectives. In this series, we listen to African men and women at home and in the diaspora sharing how they understand masculinity and how tradition and change are shaping their lives today. What does masculinity mean to you today?
Masculinity for me is being able to, or rather being comfortable, to start with, being comfortable with my gender. By my gender, I mean male. I hear people saying that they identify as him or her or whatever. Identifying and being comfortable with you, as with your principles as a man, is what I define masculinity to be.
Can you share a specific moment or experience that shaped your understanding of masculinity?
I'll give you 2. Actually, I'll give you 3. First scenario, back in 2013 or 14, I for my job, I implement accounting softwares. So I happened to go to Botswana and I work in this office, the accounting office, and then I find the office in an accounting office. There were about 8 ladies and only 1 gentleman. And initially I didn't pay attention to all that until we became close because we were there for a long time. So we were there for about 4 months. And then one day we were having lunch, and then one of the ladies asked us, "How poor are you guys?" Like, "What do you mean, how poor are we? Like, men in our culture don't work." I asked them, "What do you mean men don't work?" They're like, "Yeah, we are the ones who work because our country has diamonds and gold and so on and so forth." And then I started noticing a few things that actually shaped me indirectly. One thing is that you're driving in traffic. Most of the cars were being driven by women. And I started to think of what this lady had told me a week prior. Then I went and dug deeper because I was very close with one of them. And she told me, "You know what? Our husbands, they come home, or rather, we wake up in the morning. My husband will drop me home in my car, drop me to the office, drive back the car home, stay at home the entire day and have lunch. And then at 2 p.m., he will walk out with his boys. They will gather around a bar. They will buy drinks. They will drink the entire evening. And then at 5 p.m., when I'm clocking out, all of them will come pick us up." And I noticed it was actually the trend. At 5 p.m., there used to be traffic of cars coming into the institution that I was in. They'll pick them up and then they'll drive back. That was scenario number 1. About 2 years ago, I happened to have been somewhat, not rural, but semi-rural part of Zambia. Again, I noticed the same thing. So I had a chat with the CEO of the organization on my last day. And he told me, "You know what, there's a problem that we have in Africa, something called entitlement. We think that our country will do things for us. Men have lost their masculinity." Because at the end of the day, it is written in the Bible. Even our grandfathers from my tribe used to do the same thing. They are the ones who knew, 1, where will the food come from? They will have the land. 2, the reason my culture used to marry many women is because, not because of flamboyance or anything, is that because you have 20 acres of land. You need it to be done. So you get more kids. And the man is the one who used to give the direction on how the family goes. And I started to think about this. What don't men know their role in the society? What is being translated as masculinity? Masculinity has been, unfortunately, been demonized by feminists, that feminists are the ones who are right, we don't care about women, and so on and so forth. Masculinity is not that. Masculinity is taking on a role as a man in the family, giving direction on this is how, of course, this is how we're going to live. These are my principles. These are my traits and culture, and there's what I'm looking for that I'm passing on to my kids. Of course, as a man, you don't want to see your kids doing some things. So once you tell them you cannot dress this way, you cannot address people this way, you cannot do this way, you're called a dictator. But that's not dictatorship. That's masculinity. And I started seeing that from Botswana and then Zambia, because you will find there's somewhat unruly behavior. And then I moved to the US. When I lived there, COVID hit in 2019. Then it hit me, you know what? The last decade, I haven't spent enough time with my dad. I'm very close with my dad. I'm like, you know what? I'll have to find my way back home. Life is good in the US. Everything works. The systems work and everything. But I just came home. My dad turned 70 last year. So I needed to spend time with him. I've been spending a lot of time with him. I talk to him a lot. He tells me things about this is how you become a man. It's not about you wearing trousers or driving a big car. It's about the legacy you live and the life you live. And I play golf. I have very many friends who play golf. But the one round I look forward to is playing with my dad because he takes me through, his journey. He started working when he was very young. He got married when he was very young. My dad retired when I was working. So he has all these snippets of wisdom. So every time I hang out with him, I am reminded this is your role as a man. In our culture, we believe in taking care of our mothers when they are old. I do that as the last born. I chose to live near home because of that. My parents aren't far away from me. They're about 5 minutes walk. So those are the journeys that I have taken and embraced, that being masculine is not shouting at the top of your lungs and everything. It's the small actions that you do. And those scenarios I've given you are the ones that brought me here.
How do you see the relationship between traditional and contemporary views of masculinity in your community?
So I'll give you the answer based on my experiences again. I come from a family where it's mother, father. I have one brother, one sister, and then myself. I'm Kikuyu, but I've had the privilege to interact with very many different communities, as we'll see. I will start with the context of my family. I will talk about my family right now because I have a child in Canada. So, and I have not had the privilege to spend time with them. But I'm starting a new family here. I'm getting married in December. That's one. Two. Now, giving the family the context of where I've come from. My father, my mother, my sister, my brother. We run a few projects here and there. My parents have invested in a few things here and there. And I always find, one, by virtue of being the last born and I'm near home and I'm accessible, dad always calls me. He tells me, we're thinking of doing this and this and this. Can you come home? We talk about it. And he'll do the same to my brother. So he'll call my brother. And then we always have lunch at my mom's every Sunday. So we'll sit down and then we'll talk about it. He'll tell us, I'm thinking of doing this. I'm in IT, my brother is in finance. So we'll talk about all these things, see how these things need to be done. And then we call my brother-in-law. I'll get to that. Once we call my brother-in-law, we call the ladies, my sister-in-law, my sister, and then we tell them, this is what we are thinking of doing. We are thinking of implementing this and this and this and this. And we always give them the opportunity to give us the ideas as well. Then we implement that as a family. Now, the lessons I've picked from there for masculinity is men are the ones who come with the direction of this is what I think we should be going. But it doesn't mean that even if my sister or my mom comes up with that idea, we are not gonna accommodate it. But the role and responsibility of directing where the family goes in the next 10, 20, 50 years, it's on the men. That's scenario number one of an African community, African culture, Kikuyu tribe. My sister is married to an Asian, and he came from a family of two boys. It's himself and his brother. Same context I've given you. The dad needed something, he'd give the two of them a call, tell them, come here, guys. Let's do ABCD. And then out of respect, out of wanting inclusivity, my brother-in-law will tell my sister, I was with dad and he said, let's do this and this and this and this. What do you think? And we implement that. Scenario number three, when I was in the US, I spent a lot of time with my boss. He's an Indian who moved to the US when he was a young boy. So he lives in an Indian setup as well. And it's a copyright of the same thing that we do. They run their business in the evening. Implementation is done during the day. And the direction is given by his father and himself and his brother. They sit down as men, have tea, discuss, this is what we're going to do, this is what we'll invest in, this is what we're going to remove. Then they implement all that as men. Now, from their culture, what I saw is including women is not an option. They don't do that. It's the men who do that. But the implementation is done by the women.
Based on your understanding of masculinity, what experiences, resources, or support do you think would most enrich the journey of African men today?
I don't know. I am very conflicted with this answer because as late as Tuesday, Saturday, I was discussing that with someone, myself, and I see this from growing up with my father. My father was a present man. The biggest resource you can invest in enhancing masculinity or promoting it is spending time with the boy child. The boy child is losing identity. I'm very observant. Every Saturday, I'll go play golf. Every Sunday or Friday evening, I'll go get a haircut. And every other day, I'll take the car for service and so on. Every other day, I'll pass by the butchery to buy meat. Those are small acts. But the moment I see a lady walking into a barber shop holding her son's hand, that pains me. Every time I see a lady enrolling her son to a golf tournament, the club, telling the son how to play, it pains me. Because the identity of this boy, let's cut the chase. Men are from Mars or women are from Venus or whatever they say. Our thinking is totally different. But you will see the boy being brought to the golf course. Mom is holding his hand, telling him that's the caddy you will use, and so on and so forth. Where is the dad? Even if things didn't end well with the mother of this child, what role are you playing to see our generation, the next generation of men, has been nurtured? That is why you find men losing identity. I don't judge. That's why you see men starting to get funny haircuts and piercings and identifying as objects, because we are not giving them, we are not giving our boys time, spending time with them, spending an entire, and it's probably just an afternoon. Take the boy, go to the park, go to the golf course, go play football, go watch Formula One, go do whatever you do, but spend time with them. Because now they are being brought up with the mothers thinking that, hey, my boy can plait my hair, knows my hair products or skincare products and so on. Resource, the resource that we need the most is spending time with men, with boys. I'll give you another case. There's men's. I don't call it a fellowship, but it's some sort of a fellowship. We hang out, or rather, they hang out. I'm in a different group. They hang out every month. They're men from around the area, and the idea of hanging out is that on Sunday afternoon, they'll contribute. They'll buy 2 mbuzis or 3. They'll slaughter. They'll get some alcohol, and then they'll come spend the entire evening together and just talk and talk and talk and talk. And every end of the year, they call it the year end close. They go to Mombasa, just a group of them, and they spend time. And I'm fine with that. The only worry I have with that is they don't include the younger men who would like to be part of that group, which means that generation ends with them. It's a beautiful concept. Yes, I agree. But I believe there's more that could be done. Instead of saying that we should hang out with men our ages and so on, let's bring in the next group of men.
What message about masculinity would you want to share with young African men today?
Masculinity again has been demonized. I don't know whether it is a contemporary tactic or strategy, because you know how, as you are saying, Europeans would like us to be under them for eons. I don't know whether that whole feminism thing. I remember actually. Allow me to digress a bit. I remember the Beijing conference of 1994, right? My grandma, and she passed away 11 years ago. My grandma was against that, but we were too young. We couldn't understand what exactly they were saying. Because from then, masculinity has been so much demonized as if it's a bad thing, but it is just a way of men being men. Men being the leaders, men embracing their responsibilities, their roles in the society, their roles in the community, and providing direction of the future. That is what we should take masculinity about. It's not about I was told to wash a plate, I was told to clean a cup, I was told to make my bed. It's not about that. It's about taking your role in the society, that you are the leader, that you know your responsibilities and you're ready to take them head on.